should they? Immediately. Okay. So, Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text 1. Sanjaya Uvacha Tam Tata Kripaya Vishtam Ashu Purna Kulek Kshanam Visidantam Idam Vakyam Uvacha Madhusudana. Translation. Arjun said, seeing Krishna, Sanjay said, seeing Arjun full of compassion, his mind depressed, his eyes full of tears, Madhusudan Krishna spoke the following words. Report. Material compassion, lamentation, and tears are all signs of ignorance of the real self. Compassion for the eternal soul is self-realization. The word Madhusudan is significant in this verse. Lord Krishna killed the demon Madhu. Now Arjuna wanted Krishna to kill the demon of misunderstanding that had overtaken him in the discharge of his duty. No one knows where compassion should be applied. Compassion for the dress of a drowning man is senseless. A man fallen in the ocean of nations cannot be saved simply by rescuing his outward dress. The gross material body, one who does not know this and laments for and the outward dress is called a sudra, or one who laments unnecessarily. Arjuna was Kshatriya, and this conduct was not expected from him. Lord Krishna, however, can dissipate the lamentation of the ignorant man, and for this purpose the Bhagavad Gita was sung by him. This chapter instructs us in self-realization by an analytical study of the material body and the spirit soul, as explained by the Supreme Authority, Lord Krishna, Lord Sri Krishna. This realization is possible when one works without attachment to fruitive results and is situated in the fixed conception of the self. Okay, next verse. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Krutastva Kashmala Alamidam Vishame Sanupastitam Anarya Justam Asargayam Akriti Kadam Arjuna. Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, my dear Arjuna, how have these impurities come upon you? They are not befitting a man who knows the value of life. They lead not to higher planets, but to infamy. So we see here, immediately Arjuna takes the position to chastise his disciple. Kutas, where from have these impurities come? He doesn't appreciate them. Like Prabhupada says in the previous purport, lamentation is in the mode of ignorance. If we want to come to the platform of Brahman, Brahmabhuta Prasanana, Nasochati Nakanchati, we don't hanker and we don't lament. The Brahman doesn't lament. He sees it. Well, this is a Krishna's arrangement. I should accept it for my purification. He doesn't, try to make a movement to change everything. He tries to, first of all, change himself. This is the thrust of spiritual life. Improve yourself, know yourself, the real self. So this second chapter deals with that. So many verses are there in this chapter where Krishna is telling Arjuna how he's not this body. He compares it to a dress and changing a dress, and then there's so many examples are there. There's like 20 verses in the middle of the second chapter where Krishna analytically, logically, reasonably points out that we're not this body, but we're the soul. So this is the first understanding. We have to understand this, otherwise we can't go forward in spiritual life. This understanding, it's not easy because since time immemorial we've been acting in the wrong way, accepting the body as the self. And we have bad association in this life. Everybody, our parents, our friends, is thinking that they're this body, our family. So we have to get the proper association. Therefore, Prabhupada took so much trouble to create this society of Krishna consciousness, to give us a chance to associate with people who understand it and not the body, in fact, or practically. So that is our good fortune, that we have a chance to associate with devotees regularly. And they won't allow us to be too much sentimental. If they're a good devotee, they'll correct us. They won't be afraid to correct us. Even superiors we can correct out of love or out of, maybe in a private place. But we have a right to bring them if we think they're saying something which is not contrary to the teachings of Bhagavad Gita or Srila Prabhupada's teachings. We have a right to talk to them. Not so much accusing them, but in a private place we can say, Maharaj or Guruji or whatever, that you said this, but this doesn't seem to be what Prabhupada says, and maybe we can provide a quote from what Prabhupada says or Krishna says. So we don't have to tolerate ignorance. We should preach it. We should preach against it. This is what Krishna is doing immediately. He doesn't cuddle him. Immediately comes to the point. Kutas, why are you talking like a sentimental person? You're a Kshatriya. This kind of sentiment is for Surya. Surya, who's thinking he's his body. But you should know better. Okay? Report. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna and the Supreme Personality of Godhead are identical. Therefore, Lord Krishna is referred to as Bhagavan throughout the Gita. Bhagavan is the ultimate in the absolute truth. The absolute truth is realized in three phases of understanding, namely Brahman, or the impersonal or pervasive spirit, Paramatma, the localized aspect of the Supreme within the heart of all living entities, and Bhagavan, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 1-11, this conception of the absolute truth is thus explained. Vedantita tattva vidas tattvam yajayagyam advayam brahmeti paramareti bhagavaneti savyate. The absolute truth is realized in three phases of understanding by the knower of the absolute truth, and all of them are identical. Such phases of the absolute truth are expressed as Brahma, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. But this is Lord Chaitanya's philosophy. Achinta Bheda Veda Tattva. They're identical, but they're also different. How can that be? Yes, it's inconceivable to our mundane logic and reason, but it's a fact. We give the example of fire is one, but it has two energies. So God is one, but He has these three primary energies. The Lord, the living entity, and material nature. And these, the Lord is one, but He has these three features, Brahmaiti, Paramaiti, and Bhagavan. So Bhagavan is the whole. These three divine aspects can be explained by the example of the sun, which also has three different aspects, namely the sunshine, the sun surface, and the sun planet itself. One who studies the sunshine only is a preliminary student. One who understands the sun's surface is further advanced, and one who can enter into the sun planet is the highest. Ordinary students who are satisfied by simply understanding the sunshine, its universal pervasiveness, and the glaring effulgence of the impersonal nature, may be compared to those who can realize only the Brahman feature of the absolute truth. The student who has advanced still further can know the sun disk, which is compared to knowledge of the Paramatma feature of the absolute truth. And the student who can enter into the heart of the sun planet is compared to those who realize the personal feature of the supreme absolute truth. Therefore, the bhaktas, or the transcendentalists who have realized the Bhagavan feature of the absolute truth, are the topmost transcendentalists. Although all students who are engaged in the study of the absolute truth are engaged in the same subject matter, the sunshine, the sun disk, and the inner affairs of the sun planet cannot be separated from one another, And yet, the students of the three different phases, not in the same category. So it's very clear, Prabhupada is making the point that there's unity and diversity. Unity that we're all studying the same subject, the absolute truth, but the diversity is one is more advanced in that study. The devotee, the bhakta. Because he understands the Bhagavan feature. Whereas others, they may take their understanding as the supreme, but is not supreme. The yogi may misidentify himself with the Paramatma. And the Brahmajyoti, the part of the Brahman realize they identify with the Brahma Jyoti or the impersonal aspect of the Lord. So they make mistake. You want to read?
I have a question, Guru Maharaj. 2 questions.
2 questions?
Yes. One is this about this comment you made about yogi. The yogi who realizes this Paramatma, he identifies himself to be the Paramatma.
He may.
That's
an angel.
Is how the question is, if he realizes Paramatma, means Paramatma is like a supreme absolute truth, and how he can identify with the, because Paramatma is more like a personal feature of the Lord, and how one can identify it.
Yeah, well, that's how we fell down. Well, how can we think that Krishna is like us? But that's the illusion. We start thinking that Krishna and I are the same. He is also. This is what Duryodhana was thinking when he came to Krishna. That he's a prince just like me. So we may think that this Paramatma feature, that's the, I want to attain to that feature. I'm going to also have 4 arms. That could happen. Or else we fail to worship. But with Dhruva Maharaj, when he saw that Paramatma feature, then the Lord came outside, then he realized he should worship the Lord. He fell at his feet. So that opportunity is there. The yogi can also become a devotee. That's mentioned in the last verse of the 6th chapter. The best yogi is one who worships the Lord. So, but our Prabhupada makes the point that we're immediately coming to the point of serving the Lord. So why we go through this whole process of Brahman realization? But that verse is also there, 7:19. What is that? Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samahatma Sadurava.
Bahunam Janmanamante Jnanam Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samam. After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes, and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare.
So it may take many lives, why not do it immediately? Many lives means that we think we're the Brahman, and therefore we don't surrender to it. Because surrender means there's 2. Aham Tvam. Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo. So we should give up this idea that we're the same with God and accept our position as inferior, and we should be submissive and ready to be guided by Him. Then we can become devotees. Okay, next. That's all right.
Yes,
You have another question?
So this means now I understood that even a yogi who realizes the Paramatma feature by which he can transfer himself to the Vaikuntha planet, if he doesn't surrender and perform devotional service of the Lord, he will also fall down. So this is what the purport I understand. Thank you, Maharaj.
No, I don't accept that purpose. If he goes to Vaikuntha, he won't fall down.
Okay. So only if he surrenders and agrees to, to perform the devotional service, then he won't.
Then he can go to Vaikuntha.
Vaikuntha. Okay.
He has to become a devotee to enter Vaikuntha.
Okay.
The Sanskrit word Bhagavan is explained by the great authority Parasamuni, the father of Vyasadeva. The Supreme Personality of Godhead who possesses all riches, all strength, all fame, all beauty, all knowledge, and all renunciation is called Bhagavan. There are many persons who are very rich, very powerful, very beautiful, very famous, very learned, and very much detached, but no one can claim that he possesses all riches, all strength, etc. entirely. Only Krishna can claim this because he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. No living entity, including Brahma, Lord Shiva, or Narayan, can possess opulence as fully as Krishna. Therefore, it is concluded in the Brahma Samhita by the Lord Brahma himself that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. No one is equal to or above him. He is the primeval Lord, or Bhagavan. Because he is known as Govinda. He is the supreme cause of all causes. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachitananda Vigraha Anarya Govinda Sarvakarna Karanam. There are many personalities possessing the qualities of Bhagavan, but Krishna is the supreme because none can excel him. He is the supreme person and his body is eternal, full of knowledge and bliss. He is the primeval Lord Govinda, the cause of all causes. Brahma Samhita 5.1. What is that? In the Bhagavan also there is a list of many incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But Krishna is described as the original personality of Godhead, from whom many, many incarnations and personalities of Godhead expand. Etek chamsa kala pumsam Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indriyari Vyalukam Lokam Vidyanti Yuge Yuge Vidayanti. All the list of the incarnations of Godhead submitted herewith are either plenary expansions or parts of the plenary expansions of the Supreme Godhead. But Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. Bhagavatam 1.3.28. Therefore Krishna is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, the absolute truth, the source of both the Supersoul and the impersonal Brahman. In the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Arjuna's lamentation for his kinsman is certainly unbecoming, and therefore Krishna expressed his surprise with the word Kuta, where from? Such impurities were never expected from a person belonging to the civilized class of men known as Aryans. The word Aryan is applicable to persons who knew the value of life and have a civilization based on spiritual realization. Persons who are led by the material conception of life do not know that the aim of life is realization of the absolute truth, Vishnu or Bhagavan, and they are captivated by the external features of the material world. Therefore, they do not know what liberation is. Persons who have no knowledge of liberation from material bondage are called non-Aryans. Although Arjuna was a Kshatriya, he was deviating from the prescribed duties by declining to fight. This act of cowardice is described as befitting the non-Aryan. Such deviation from duty does not help one in the progress of spiritual life, nor does it even give one the opportunity to become famous in this world. Lord Krishna did not approve of the so-called compassion of Arjuna for his kinsman. So, compassion is okay, but it has to be, we have to know who to have compassion on. We give compassion to those who are less advanced. We shouldn't try to give our compassion to more superiors. That would be offensive. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki,
Jai.
Prabhupada ki.
Jai.
His Holiness Sri Vikram.